What if I told you that 90% of people treat their paycheck like a drunk person treats a $20 bill at 3 in the morning? They get it, they immediately spend it on things they probably don't need, and then they wake up wondering where it all went. The difference is the drunk person only does this occasionally, while most people do this every 2 weeks for their entire working life. My name is Nick, and I've spent way too much time analyzing why some people can turn a modest paycheck into serious wealth, while others making twice as much somehow end up broke by the weekend. If you're tired of watching your money disappear faster than your motivation on a Monday morning, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up saving your financial future. Here's something that might shock you. The average person making $50,000 a year will earn over $2 million during their working lifetime. $2 million. That's millionaire money flowing through their hands, yet most of them will retire with less than $90,000 in savings. Where did the other $1.9 million go? It didn't vanish into thin air, and it wasn't stolen by some financial wizard. It was systematically destroyed by a paycheck system that most people never learned to control. The brutal truth is this: your paycheck is either working for you or it's working against you. I guess there's no middle ground, no neutral zone where money just sits there doing nothing. Every dollar that hits your account is immediately drafted into one of two armies: the wealth building army or the wealth destroying army. Most people accidentally enlist their entire paycheck into the wrong army and then spend decades wondering why they're losing the war. But here's what's going to blow your mind. The secret to making your paycheck work for you has absolutely nothing to do with how much you earn. I know people making $40,000 a year who are building more wealth than people making $120,000. The difference isn't their salary, their education, or some special knowledge that only rich people possess. The difference is what happens to their money in the first 48 hours after payday. Let me paint you a picture of what most people's payday routine looks like. The money hits their account, usually on a Friday. They feel temporarily rich, maybe even check their balance a few times just to see that number. Then the weekend hits and suddenly they're buying rounds at the bar, ordering takeout because cooking seems like too much work, and making impulse purchases because, hey, they just got paid. By Monday morning, they're back to checking prices at the grocery store and hoping their card doesn't get declined at the gas station. This isn't a character flaw or a lack of willpower. This is a predictable psychological response that happens when you don't have a system in place. Your paycheck becomes like water without a container. It takes the shape of whatever spending opportunities surround it, which in our consumer culture means it disappears into 1,000 tiny purchases that you can't even remember making. Now let me show you what happens when someone understands how to make their paycheck work for them. The money hits their account, and within hours it's been strategically deployed into different accounts and investments before they even have a chance to spend it. They're not relying on willpower or hoping they'll make good decisions. They've automated good decisions so their money starts working immediately, even while they're sleeping. The people who master the system don't just build wealth, they build what I call financial immunity. They become immune to the economic anxiety that keeps most people awake at night. They stop checking their bank balance before making purchases because they know exactly where their money is and what it's doing for them. Most importantly, they break free from the paycheck to paycheck cycle that traps even high-income earners. Here's the part that's going to sound almost too simple to be true. The entire system comes down to understanding one fundamental principle that most people completely ignore. Your paycheck isn't meant to fund your lifestyle. Your paycheck is meant to fund your money-making system, and your money-making system funds your lifestyle. When you flip this relationship, everything changes. Think about it this way. Most people use their paycheck to buy stuff, hoping there's something left over to save and invest. But successful wealth builders use their paycheck to buy assets that generate income, and they use that income to buy stuff. Same money, completely different outcome. One approach leads to decades of financial stress, while the other leads to financial freedom. The reason this works is because of something economists call the velocity of money. When you spend your paycheck on consumption, that money is gone forever. It provided temporary satisfaction, but it can never work for you again. When you invest your paycheck in assets, that money keeps working 24/7, generating returns that compound over time. The same dollar can make you money for decades instead of disappearing after one purchase. But here's where most financial advice goes completely wrong. They tell you to budget, track every expense, and cut out your daily coffee. This approach fails because it's trying to solve a system problem with willpower. It's like trying to fix a leaky roof by putting buckets everywhere instead of actually repairing the roof. The problem isn't your spending habits. The problem is that you don't have a system that makes your money work for you automatically. The real solution is to hijack your paycheck before it even has a chance to be spent. This means setting up automatic transfers that happen on payday, moving money into different accounts based on predetermined percentages. Your money gets divided and deployed before your spending brain even knows it exists. By the time you're consciously thinking about what to do with your paycheck, the important financial decisions have already been made. This automatic system eliminates what psychologists call decision fatigue. Every time you have to decide whether to spend or save money, you're using mental energy. Make enough of these decisions throughout the day, and your willpower gets depleted. That's why people can be disciplined about money all day and then blow their budget on takeout dinner. They've used up their decision-making capacity on other things. When you automate the process, you remove the decision-making burden. Your money flows into the right places without requiring any conscious effort. This is the same principle that makes successful people successful in other areas. They don't rely on motivation or willpower. They create systems that produce the results they want automatically. The beauty of this approach is that it works regardless of your income level. Whether you're making $30,000 or $300,000 a year, the same principles apply. The percentages might be different, but the system remains the same. Like your paycheck gets automatically divided into categories that serve your long-term financial health instead of your short-term impulses. Most people think they need to earn more money to solve their financial problems, but earning more money without fixing your system is like trying to fill a bucket with holes in it. You can pour as much water as you want, but it's still going to leak out. The wealthy understand this, which is why they focus on plugging the holes before trying to increase the flow. So this systematic approach also protects you from lifestyle inflation, which is probably the biggest wealth killer that nobody talks about. Lifestyle inflation happens when your spending automatically increases every time your income increases. You get a raise, so you upgrade your apartment, buy a fancier car, and start eating at more expensive restaurants. Your income went up, but your wealth building capacity stayed the same or even decreased because your expenses grew faster than your income. When you have an automatic system in place, raises and bonuses get deployed according to your predetermined percentages instead of disappearing into lifestyle upgrades. This means your wealth building accelerates every time your income increases, creating a compound effect that can turn modest salary increases into substantial long-term wealth. But here's where things get really interesting, and it's something that most financial experts won't tell you because it doesn't sell expensive courses or complicated investment products. The most powerful wealth building tool you have isn't some secret stock pick or cryptocurrency. It's the boring, unglamorous habit of paying yourself first before you pay anyone else. Now, when I say pay yourself first, I don't mean rewarding yourself with a shopping spree because you survived another week at your job. I mean literally treating yourself like the most important bill you have to pay every month. You wouldn't skip your rent payment because you wanted to buy a new gadget, right? Well, your future self deserves the same respect as your landlord, probably more since your future self actually cares about your well-being. The wealthy have figured out something that the middle class completely misses. They understand that every paycheck is a choice between two futures. Future number one is where you're 70 years old, still working because you have to, worried about every expense, and completely dependent on other people for your financial survival. Future number two is where you're financially independent, making choices based on what you want to do rather than what you need to do to pay bills, and your money works harder than you ever had to. Most people accidentally choose future number one because they treat their current wants as more important than their future needs. They see money in their account and think, what can I buy with this? Instead of thinking, how can I make this money make more money? It's like eating your seed corn instead of planting it. Sure, you get a meal today, but you've just guaranteed you'll be hungry next season. Here's a question that will probably make you uncomfortable. If someone gave you a choice between $1,000 right now or $10,000 in 10 years, which would you choose? Like, most people would take the $1,000 immediately, even though waiting would give them 10 times more money. This isn't stupidity. This is how our brains are wired. We're programmed to value immediate rewards more than future benefits, even when the future benefits are dramatically larger. This psychological bias is exactly why most people struggle with money. They can't resist the immediate gratification of spending over the delayed gratification of investing. But here's the thing that changes everything. You don't have to fight this bias. You just have to outsmart it by making investing more immediate than spending. When your paycheck hits your account and money immediately flows into your investment accounts, investing becomes the immediate action. Spending becomes the delayed action because you have to wait and plan for it. You've flipped the psychological script so that building wealth feels more immediate and satisfying than buying stuff. This is why automatic investing is so powerful. It hijacks your brain's preference for immediate action and uses it to build wealth instead of destroying it. Your natural impulses start working for you instead of against you. It's like jujitsu for your finances. You're using the force of your own psychological tendencies to achieve the opposite result. But let's talk about the elephant in the room that everybody's thinking about, but nobody wants to discuss. Like, what if you're barely making ends meet right now? What if there's literally nothing left after paying your basic bills? How can you possibly invest money that doesn't exist? First, let me acknowledge that some people are genuinely in survival mode. And if that's you, your priority needs to be increasing your income, not optimizing your investments. But for most people who think they have nothing left to invest, the problem isn't their income level. The problem is that they've never done a brutal audit of where their money actually goes. The average American household spends over $600 per month on food, and that includes both groceries and restaurants. $600. That's more than many people pay for rent. If you could cut that by just 25% through meal planning and cooking at home more often, you'd free up $150 monthly for investing. Over 30 years, that $150 per month could grow to over $200,000. Or consider transportation costs. The average car payment in America is now over $700 per month. $700 to drive something that loses value every single day you own it. If you could find a reliable used vehicle and cut that payment in half, you'd have an extra $350 monthly. That could become $500,000 in your investment account over your working lifetime. I'm not saying you should eat rice and beans every day or drive a car held together with duct tape, but I am saying that most people are unconsciously choosing temporary comfort over permanent wealth, and they don't even realize they're making that choice. Every dollar you spend on something that doesn't improve your life significantly is a dollar that can't compound and grow for decades. Here's something that might blow your mind. The difference between wealthy people and everyone else isn't that wealthy people make dramatically different decisions. It's that they make slightly better decisions consistently over long periods of time. They don't completely deprive themselves of everything enjoyable. They just ask one additional question before every purchase. Will buying this move me closer to financial independence or further away from it? This question becomes a filter that automatically eliminates wasteful spending without requiring you to create complicated budgets or track every penny. You're not restricting yourself. You're just becoming more intentional about where your money goes. And when you're intentional with your money, amazing things start to happen. Your investment accounts begin growing not just from your contributions, but from compound returns. You start to notice the monthly growth in your balances, and it becomes genuinely exciting to watch your money work for you. Instead of viewing investing as a sacrifice, you begin to see spending on unnecessary things as the real sacrifice because you understand what that money could become if you invested it instead. This mindset shift is probably more valuable than the money itself. When you truly understand the power of compound interest, every financial decision becomes easier. That expensive dinner isn't just costing you $100 tonight, it's potentially costing you several $100s in lost investment growth over the coming decades. But here's where this gets really interesting, and it's something that separates the people who build serious wealth from those who just accumulate some savings. Once your automatic investment system is running smoothly, you can start thinking about optimization and acceleration. This is where the real magic happens. The people who become truly wealthy don't just save and invest their regular paychecks. They create additional income streams specifically designed to feed their investment accounts. Maybe they start a side business, maybe they develop a skill that allows them to freelance, or maybe they find ways to generate passive income. The key is that this extra income doesn't improve their lifestyle. It improves their wealth building capacity. Think about this strategically. If your day job covers your living expenses and your side income funds your investments, you're essentially living for free while building substantial wealth. Your entire salary from your main job goes toward maintaining your current lifestyle, while your side income goes toward buying your future freedom. This approach also provides incredible psychological benefits. When you know that your basic needs are covered by your main income, you can take bigger risks with side ventures because you're not gambling with your survival. You can invest in yourself, learn new skills, or start businesses that might fail without threatening your financial security. Most people do this backwards. They use their main income for everything, including trying to save and invest, which means they never have enough left over to build real wealth. Then they avoid taking any risks that could increase their income because they're already stretched thin financially. Yes, they get stuck in a cycle where they can't build wealth because they can't take risks, and they can't take risks because they haven't built wealth. Breaking this cycle requires flipping the script. Use systems to ensure your wealth building happens automatically from your main paycheck, then focus your creative energy on generating additional income that can accelerate the process. When both your savings rate and your income are increasing simultaneously, wealth building shifts from difficult to inevitable. The compound effect of this approach is staggering. Not only are you investing more money each year, but you're also developing skills and building businesses that could eventually replace your day job income entirely. You're not just building an investment portfolio, you're building multiple streams of income that could support you even if something happens to your primary job. This is how people go from living paycheck to paycheck to achieving financial independence in 15 or 20 years instead of never. They don't just optimize their spending, they systematically increase their earning and investing capacity while maintaining their current lifestyle. It's not about living like you're broke when you're not. It's about living like you're wealthy before you actually are, by making your money behave like wealthy people's money behaves. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, and it's definitely not as dramatic as those ridiculous before and after photos you see on social media where someone goes from broke to millionaire in 6 months by selling courses about selling courses. Real wealth building is more like watching grass grow, except the grass eventually becomes a money tree that pays for your entire life. The timeline looks something like this. During the first few years, your automatic system feels almost pointless. You're moving a few $100s around each month, and your investment balance grows so slowly that you might wonder if you're wasting your time. This is when most people quit. They look at their account balance after 2 years of consistent investing and think, at this rate, I'll be dead before this matters. But something magical happens around year 5 or 6. The compound interest that seemed invisible during the early years starts becoming noticeable. Your investments begin generating meaningful returns, and those returns start generating their own returns. Suddenly, your account balance is growing, not just from your contributions, but from the money your money is making. It's like discovering that the grass you've been patiently watering has been growing roots that are now spreading underground. So there you have it. The secret to making your paycheck work for you isn't earning more money. It's building a system that automatically turns your money into a wealth building machine before you even have a chance to mess it up. Your future self is counting on the decision you make right now. And honestly, they're probably hoping you're smarter than the drunk person with the $20 bill.